Hey guys, welcome back to SaxTuition. My name's Jeremy. In this video, we're going to be talking about overtones. Now, I know a lot of sax students hear about these things called overtones. They know they're important, but they're not really sure why they're important or even how to practice them. This can lead them to abandon their overtones altogether and never return to them again. But of course, this is actually a big mistake. Overtones are super important, and in this video, I'm going to show you what they are, why they're important to practice, and most importantly of all, how you can practice them without getting overwhelmed. And just so you know, the clips in this video are actually taken straight from my latest course, Supercharged Saxophone. If you want to learn more about this course, then just head on over to SaxTuition.com or follow the link in the description below. Well, that's the end of my plug, so let's get into it. Did you know that contained within a given musical note are many different notes? Okay, stay with me here. If we choose a note to play on the saxophone, let's say it's our low B flat. What we primarily hear as a listener is the low B flat. That's called the fundamental frequency of the sound. But contained within that low B flat are actually an entire array of other higher pitched notes called harmonics, or more commonly in saxophone speak, overtones. If you listen very carefully, sometimes you can hear them blended and disguised within the tone that you play. You'll also be able to hear this on piano. If you play the lowest note and sustain it, as the note decays, you can start to hear some of those harmonics peek through. A saxophone tone that is rich and controlled is also rich with harmonics, and a saxophonist that has ultimate control over their tone is also able to move between their harmonics with relative ease. This is achieved by manipulating our embouchure and our throat position without ever changing our fingering. Most of us, particularly in the early stages of learning saxophone, can relate to the experience of trying to play a note only to accidentally play it an octave above where we intended. Chances are we were a bit too tight with our embouchure and our throat position was too high at the time, as if we were singing a high note when what we intended was actually a low note. Playing overtones is the process of manipulating our throat, jaw, tongue, and lower lip to push the tone up to a higher note in the series. Try this. Put your hand over your neck like this and try singing a very low note and then working your way up the range. Did you feel that? As you move up the range, your throat completely changes shape. Now, there's been studies done by universities that have demonstrated that the way saxophone players play very high notes in the altissimo range is by manipulating their throat position as if they were actually singing the note, even if that note was way out of their normal vocal range. It's the same principle when we're playing overtones. Most of the hard work is done with the throat, and then the embouchure, the amount of pressure we're putting on the reed, just finishes the job. If you're relying on the embouchure alone to just squeeze the reed and hope you get the note, you're going to have a really hard time, particularly when we start looking at altissimo. If you ever find yourself getting stuck with pitching your overtones, experiment with using these vowel sounds as you play. Ah, e, o, ooh. Sometimes they can hold the key to unlocking that partial that you just can't seem to get. Now, let's have a look at what the harmonic series looks like based on our low B flat. Remember, all of these notes are achievable with just the low B flat fingering. Notice how the first partial in the harmonic series is an octave above the fundamental. The second partial is an octave and a fifth above the fundamental. The third partial is 2 whole octaves above the fundamental. You can change the fundamental pitch to whatever you like, but the relationship between the fundamental and the rest of the series will always be the same. For context, here's what the harmonic series looks like based off a low B. That's 1 semitone above a B flat. As expected, the entire harmonic series has moved up by a semitone. So why do we bother with any of this? Well, number one is that practicing our overtones makes for an incredibly beneficial exercise that can both enhance our tone and deepen our understanding of the link between tone and embouchure. And number two is that they lay the groundwork for unlocking our altissimo range, that is, every note above our high F. So mastering your overtones is really a three-step process. The first step is what we call tone matching. So we're going to start by playing the first partial of your low B flat using regular fingering. In this case, a B flat with either your bis key or the side key. So that's no octave key. Now, once you've got the sound of that note in your head, you'll want to switch to the low B flat fingering whilst aiming for the tone of that first partial. If you find yourself stumbling over that first partial, repeat the process but with the second partial instead. Often that is the first overtone that actually pops out for people. Then you can repeat the process for as many partials as you can manage. For now, only attempt your overtones based off a low B flat, B or C fundamental. Realistically, we're aiming for the fifth partial, which is the palm key F when played off the low B flat. If we can eventually get there, we'll be doing really well. Now for the second stage, you'll want to switch over to the ebook and try out these exercises which will have you moving between partials. Just prepare yourself that these exercises will most likely take months to complete unless you've had some prior experience with overtone practice. There's no rush to get through these. Being able to confidently play all of these exercises will make the next unit, altissimo, so much easier. Now, in the third stage of our overtone practice, you can make up your own exercises and try to push the limits of your range even further. For the purposes of this course though, I'm going to recommend that you play up to the fifth or sixth partial before diving into your altissimo range. Unfortunately, there's no getting around it. Overtone practice is not pretty. It's loud and it's not that pleasant from a listener's perspective, particularly when you first start out. But don't let that put you off spending the time to really master these exercises because they are a critical part of your tone development. It's also going to force you to experiment with your throat and embouchure until you can accurately voice these notes. Well, good luck with your overtones, and when you're ready, it could take a while, I'll see you for the final tone development unit, altissimo. So what did you think? If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a comment down below. Now, if you want to take your overtone practice to the next level, I really recommend downloading the exercises from this lesson. You can do that just by entering the address below into your browser or by following the link in the description. Well, that about covers it from today's lesson. If you've got any other questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section down below, and make sure to hit like and subscribe to the SaxTuition YouTube channel for more great saxophone content. And I'll see you all again soon.